Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this special Sunday morning. It's such a joy to see all of you here in the sanctuary and also on Zoom. Thank you for contributing, being here with your love and your energy. It makes such a difference. And this morning is very special because we have Reverend Tom Newman here with us this morning. And Tom, welcome home.
Thank you.
It just feels right having Tom up here with us.
I think half of these people owe me money. There's a general amnesty that's on until 11.
I think that includes me as well. It's been so much fun watching everybody reunite this morning. There's some people who have come back that I haven't seen in a long time, and there's some new faces who continue to come back. And to see Tom being able to greet people that he hasn't seen in a while, especially here in the sanctuary, it's just the best feeling. So,
you know, it's nice to see that a lot of those people got out of prison since I've been gone.
Now, Tom, we said we weren't going to talk about that.
Oops.
We have our beautiful, lovely musician, Suzanne Geyer, who is playing such beautiful music. And as I like to say, that the angels are attracted to music, to the vibration, and our spirit guides. So they're all here, right, Tom? They're all here listening to the beautiful music. So thank you, Suzanne. And this morning we have a special guest, two special guests, Terry and Tamra, are going to participate in a song that Tom requested, and it's going to be beautiful, so we're all excited about that. So let us take a breath and try to relax. While I offer an opening prayer. Divine Spirit, impress upon us that we are all one, and that what happens to one happens to us all. Let us realize the unity of life. May compassion and love fill every heart, and so it is. Thank you for participating in that with me. We like to read our Declaration of Principles, and Reverend Tom wrote the Declaration of Principles for the Sarasota Center of Light. So it makes it even more special this morning that, in fact, you should probably lead this, Tom, in the Declaration.
Go ahead, you're doing great.
Okay. Okay. We believe in God, the source of all creation. We affirm that metaphysical spirituality is a way of life based upon the teachings and demonstrations of all master teachers. We believe that a sincere application of these teachings and living in accordance with spiritual law leads to true spirituality. We believe in the healing power of God and that all things are possible when done in accordance with divine law. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We believe in personal responsibility to make our own happiness as we co-create with divine law. We believe the purpose of human life is to experience and learn life lessons in order to progress spiritually. We believe in the immortality of the soul. We believe in communicating with those who have made their transition into the spirit world. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed to anyone here or hereafter. Thank you. The Master's Prayer. We have the translation from the Aramaic, and it's such a beautiful prayer. Please join me. O thou from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration, may your light be experienced in my utmost holiest. Your heavenly domain approaches. Let your will come true in the universe just as on earth. Give us wisdom for our daily need. Detach the fetters of faults that bind us, like we let go the guilt of others. Let us not be lost in superficial things, but let us be free from that which keeps us off our true purpose. From you comes all working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age. Amen. Now we have the pleasure of listening to a musical selection by Suzanne.
It's entitled Daydream, so please allow yourself to take a nice big breath in and release, and allow yourself to go to a very beautiful daydream.
And I was just thinking about you all being beautiful. It sounds superficial, but it's true. I'm looking at the screen here, and there's a picture of me sitting down. I think I'm making my transition. I have a special coin in my briefcase I want to give to Lynn. I have to tell you, well, no, I'll wait for the talk. Okay, this is the very serious part. Installation of Sarasota Center of Light Board of Directors. I'd like to call each board member forward and do it slowly. It's not that I haven't lost my sense of speech, and you'll find that out later. It's just I want you to recognize them. You know, see by visual recognition. They have done something very special, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. President Laverne Duff. Now, most of these are very humble people, and they don't like to be in the highlight, you know, the center of attention, but that's too bad. You want to help her with the candles? Vice President Catherine Kalua. Is Kalua her last name? I thought that was her first name.
Yeah.
She's our diversity candidate, in case anybody is wanting to know.
She's our queen.
She comes from Hawaii. Secretary Caroline DeMoise. There's Caroline. Treasurer Jeff Lambert.
Thank you.
3-year trustee Jean Wallace. And Jean and I go back a long time. I used to mow her lawn when I was in high school. Two-year trustee Sherry Broom. And 1-year trustee Cindy Gorley. It's 1-year trustee and survivor, right? Well, I see I've moved from my chair to the podium. That's good news. So I better call my sister and tell her I'm not making the transition today.
It's okay. We'll stay right here.
All right. Where's my candle? Here we go. She was here a minute ago. It's important that we get this right. Okay. Laverne, you've been elected president of the Sarasota Center of Light Board of Directors for the ensuing year. Is it your desire to accept the responsibilities and duties of your office? Very good. As the installing clergyman, I remind you that yours is an opportunity as well as a responsibility to hold and bind together the members of this organization, that you must foster and encourage true fellowship among the members of this spiritual community, that you will conduct meetings with due consideration and respect for all, that you will always conduct yourself in such a manner that you will be a credit to the organization that you are president, that you will always exemplify your best judgment for the betterment of the Sarasota Center of Light. Do you so pledge? So far, it's going well. they've been rehearsing their parts, so that's a good thing. Okay. I address the rest of the board members. You have been elected to serve on the official board of the Sarasota Center of Light for the ensuing year. Is it your desire to accept the responsibilities and duties of your office? Catherine, did you say yes? Okay. I could get a translator if you need one, so we can understand what you're saying. Bring them up. As the installing clergy, it's my obligation to charge you with the duty and responsibility to lend every cooperation to your president, to the center of which you are a member, and your ministers, that the business of the organization must be conducted impartially, and to all matters that should be of a private nature, you shall maintain confidentiality, that you will always exemplify your best judgment for the betterment of the Sarasota Center of Light. Do you so pledge? Great. To all this, you must give your solemn oath and pledge before these earthly and heavenly witnesses, and your failure to comply signifies your willingness to accept expulsion from your office. Do you so pledge? By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Sarasota Center of Light, I hereby install you as the official board of directors for the Sarasota Center of Light for the terms of your office, and direct you to fulfill the duties of your office to the best of your ability. Let us give a warm welcome to these individuals who have stepped forward. Thank you. Yeah, we waited to the last minute before we lit their candles because we didn't want any accidents. Go ahead and blow out your candles. And you can take those with you. Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
This is for Tom. Could you hold this for me? So I can read my thing.
Oh.
We want to, I have to read this. We want to thank you for coming here and helping us and inducting the new board. And because of that, we are delighted to have you work with us also as a consultant. So in recognition of your many, many years of service to the center and to Spirit, we want to award you the honor and respect, this award for Pastor Emeritus.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
How touching. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all. Wow, this is neat. I'm going to go ahead and take your seats. No, I'll tell you what, why don't you just sit up here on the floor? It's like a little powwow, Cub Scouts, you know? I'm kidding. There's no paycheck attached to the back of this?
There's envelopes.
Nothing's changed since I was here 10 years ago. Sure. Show it to the Zoom crowd. Here it is. Whoa, what a touching thought. Thank you.
Great job.
I'm going to embarrass somebody, at least several. And I see none of you owe me money, so if you did, I've forgotten it. I've entered into my 70s, and I hear gasps. I know, it's hard to believe. I look like I'm 50, so. But my new saying is, am I becoming my grandpa? You know, it's just something, it's a little sanity check. But Mary, I've got your name right, don't I? Raise your hand. There. She's very humble. The Sarasota Center of Light had a name change in June of 2006. And it used to be the Shrine of the Master of Sarasota, Florida. And Mary came up with the name of Sarasota Center of Light. You remember that, don't you? I have always remembered that, and I've shared that with no one because it just wasn't relevant. But as I was reading the Declaration of Principles, I thought, oh, Mary is here. I'm going to recognize her. And because what we did, we had a big picture of Jesus at that back wall. It was about 8 feet long and about 5 feet wide. And Jesus has been a teacher for us for all these years. I forget, what is it, 84 years? It's 1949 was when this church was founded. But a lot of people thought when they came in that we were a traditional Christian church. And we've been anything but traditional. And so there was another Christian church in town that we either donated the painting to or we offered it to them very inexpensively. And they are, I'm sure, enjoying that as part of their facilities. I can tell you that as I looked around, I was involved. I was on the board for 32 years. Now, if I was in school, you'd think I had, developmental problems. And maybe I did for being on the board that long. But in Santa Fe, I go to the Unity Church there. And I was there for about 6 months, and then somebody approached me about being on the board. And I said, well, the church that I was a part of for 35 years, I was on their board for 32 years. I said, when you get somebody who can match me, I'll consider being on this board. Well, they haven't been able to do that. So it's a safe call, for me. And if anybody is offended about me not wearing a tie, too bad. When I left, I said, I'm not going to wear a tie ever again. Never. I had a career with Verizon for 27 years, and many of those years I was in an engineering department. I had to wear a tie every day, and just, so there is freedom. When you get with a 7 in front of your age, you get a certain level of freedom. Right, Lynn? I'm very touched. This was totally unexpected over here, this certificate, totally unexpected. But I have been a part of this organization for a long, long time. When I was 10 and a half, my mom, who's here with us, and I used the dowsing rods a few minutes ago with Phyllis to, let me see those for a minute. These are called L rods, nickname is dowsing rods. And all I have to do is keep my hands level, and my soul energy moves the rods. If there's over 10,000 people in this room open, isn't that cool? Let me show you who else is here. If Dorothy Flexer is here, open. If Russell Flexer is here, open. If Dr. Charles Davis is here, open. Now I'm going up. If Jesus is here, open. How about that? If Mother Mary is here, open. If Lord Buddha is here, open. If Joseph is here, open. Isn't that amazing? You know, there's a lot going on in all the universes. Oh, if Prime Source is here, open. Prime Source is God. This church, thank you, it is a center of light. And I have visited many, many churches, spiritualist churches, metaphysical churches, in my career. Many churches here in this country, churches in England and in other countries. Whenever I'd travel, I would, if I was available on a Sunday, I would try to go to a church. If I could find a metaphysical church, I'd go there. One thing, it's a way to learn. It's a way to see what other people are doing. You know, the Flexers, what was really wonderful about them and Dr. Davis and all the spirit teachers that we've worked with over all these years, they all demonstrated great humility. It was never about them. You know, they never put themselves on a pedestal. And, you know, that was very nice, because in many places it's not that way. And I must tell you, I'm going to share with you a couple of special things that have happened in the past year. Now, people say to me, I've been gone it'll be 10 years this May. A lot of people say to me, well, how do you like retirement? And I say, well, you know, I haven't retired. I've just changed who I report to. And I like the new guy a lot. You know, I get to take off whenever I want to. You know, I get to travel. And, you know, my goal is to help to bring a level of understanding to the Santa Fe area. I've always had a love affair with Santa Fe. And, you know, I started going there when I was 18. I worked at Philmont Scout Ranch in northern New Mexico. And then most every year, my family and I would spend time in Santa Fe or Cimarron, the northern part. And I thought, when I get out here full time, I'm going to look for our people. I'm going to look for people who are interested in the teachings that we have to offer. I refer to them as the higher spiritual teachings. So as I would go out there, I bought the house I have about 7 years earlier, about 17 years ago. And I would go to a metaphysical church on Sundays if I was alone, if I didn't have anybody with me. There's so much to do in the Santa Fe area in northern New Mexico. I didn't want to drag anybody off to church if they were, you know, coming out on vacation and wanting to do things. So when I got there full time, I said, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is get to know this area as a resident, because it's different than as a visitor. And I said, I'm going to look for the higher spiritual teachings that I've heard about for so many years. So I started going to different churches, and ironically, I could not find the higher spiritual teachings. And I was comparing my observations with what I had learned here. Now, I started going to the Tampa church when I was 10 and a half. And I had the good fortune of having a mom who was very open-minded. And Dorothy and Russell, they took turns serving the two churches. They would both be here for the morning service, and then one would go to Tampa for the evening service, and the other would be here for the evening service. They'd do messages and talk. And then the next Sunday, they would swap. You know, the one that was here at night would go to Tampa. So my mom was invited to attend the class that Reverend Dorothy facilitated. She was a physical medium. Now, most mediums are mental mediums. I'm a mental medium. That's where your mentality is challenged at every opportunity. Just kidding. See, I've got the humorous ones up in the front rows. That's good. I like that. Keep giving me the feedback. But you had to be invited to go to class. Now, down here in Sarasota, they had two classes. They had a mediumship class on Thursday night, and they had a master's class on Wednesday night. So my mom was invited to the mediumship class in Tampa in December of 1962. If you asked me to recite the phone number of any of my children, I wouldn't be able to do that. But I can remember things like that. I don't know why. I have to talk to Lynn. She's the one that kind of gives me analysis without charging me. And I've got a great story to share with you. She's going to be embarrassed, but that's okay. So I waited up. It was a Monday night, and I was 10 and a half or 10 and 3/4, and I waited up for my mom to come home. Now, we lived in Lutz. Lutz is just it's a northern community just outside of Tampa. And so it would take her 30 minutes to get home from the church in Tampa. And I waited up for her. It was a school night for me. I mean, school day the next day. But I had to know what she experienced. And she told me that she had talked to spirit teachers and she had met her spirit doctor at that class. And the first thing I said to her was, I want to go. She said, well, it's not that easy. You have to be invited. I said, okay, we'll work on this. So 3 months later, I turned 11, and I got invited to go to the class. And I was so amazed at the experience because spirit teachers are pretty evolved. Master teachers especially, very evolved beings. But great kindness shown, and there was a question and answer period where you could ask just about any question you want, non-personal question. And then they had an exercise for developing mediumship, clairvoyance and clairaudience and all of those. So I continued going to those classes for 33 years. And that's when Dorothy made the transition in 96. She was 82. She was amazing. She was absolutely amazing. Well, we didn't know much. Again, I was on the board here. And we thought trumpet mediums, which is what she was, we thought they just grow on trees. You can go out and pluck one off, your tree and bring them in and they're ready to go. Well, they're very, very rare. Physical mediumship is extremely rare. After about a year, we found a medium named Don DeGar. And he was hired to come in. He demonstrated his ability to go into trance, and Spirit spoke through him, and that was exactly what we wanted. Well, he had lots of experience dealing with other spiritualist churches. He was from Indiana. And he was very different from Reverend Dorothy. He was a really big guy and rough around the edges, I would say. But he had knowledge that we needed. And so, wasn't he rough around the edges, Kathy? I won't share that story. I'm going to save that one. Maybe privately. I don't drink, so you can't get me drunk to find out these stories. I don't know. Maybe if I'm sleepy or something, I'll share it with you, but I've got a wonderful one about Kathy. But I'll share with you the one about Lynn because um, she, she's probably she is one of my closest friends. Great travel companion. We've traveled a lot of places. And, you know, as old as I get, I still have this college student mentality about saving money. You know, it doesn't pertain to the house you buy or the car you buy, but other than that, I'm saving money whenever I can. So we had a conference in northern England with Stuart Alexander. He was not a trumpet medium, he was a materialization medium. There's only 5 of those in the world. So we had, we were invited, I was invited, Lynn was invited to attend a weekend with Stuart Alexander. There were 80 people there, and literally somebody had to die before you could get a spot in that conference if you had not been a member already. Well, enough people died that Lynn and I could go. And we I told them, don't drink that purple Kool-Aid she's giving out. Don't do it, But nevertheless, we decided, as long as we're over there, we might just visit another city in Europe, because there's a secret to travel. If you take a flight from here to London, and then take a completely different flight from London to any other European city, it's much cheaper than if you go from here to that European city. So we had a fascination with Rome. And my brother, and I have a twin brother, and he had been in the Navy, and when he was there visiting Rome, he had an audience with the Pope. And I always thought, that'd be fun to do. I'd like to have an audience with the Pope, just to find out what he had to say. Check out his English, that type of thing. And so I wrote to the Vatican. I said, I'd like an audience with the Pope. And, I knew that they did that on Wednesdays. So I said to Lynn, hey, how would you like to have an audience with the Pope? Oh, sure. She's very easy to travel with. So the day before we're to have the audience with the Pope, on Tuesday, I had studied the metro system. And I said, oh, look, we're staying in a, bed and breakfast or hotel there in Rome. I said, they have 2 main lines, an A line and a B line. I said, we're only a couple blocks away from one of the substations to the A line. We can walk down there, and then we can stay on that for a while and go to a lot of different stops, and then we'll come to another stop that connects with the B line. And then we'll transfer to the B line, and we'll go over to within a couple blocks of the Vatican. I was really proud of all the research I had done, and so I said this to Lynn. And one thing about Lynn, she could be carving you up for dinner and just have the nicest smile on her face, and she was just filled with kindness. And she looks at me and she said, Mama doesn't do metro. I said, whoops. I'd known her for 15 years. I didn't know that. All that time I put into research, and, we'd only have to walk probably 10 or 12 blocks, She goes, Mama does taxis. And she said, this is very kind. No smile on her face at all. Very kind. She said, now you're welcome to ride with me in my taxi. Or I could meet you in St. Peter's Square. And it took me about a nanosecond to say, I would love to ride with you in your taxi. So we got there, took us right to the edge of St. Peter's Square, and we look out, and there were 5,000 other people having a private meeting with the Pope. I said, I haven't planned this very well. Very kind. She never said a word. She's a great travel companion. And I've told that story at least 50 times, and there's about 40 of you here, so I'm up to 90 now. I'll stop at 100. Yeah. But all through my life, when I got to Santa Fe, like I said, I was looking for those places of higher teachings. I couldn't find any. I went to many churches. You know, I'm not going to give denominations because I don't want to, you know, speak unkindly of anyone. But I said to Dr. Meredith, he's my teacher, my spirit doctor, and we all have spirit guides. I said, you know, I can't find any place of higher spiritual teachings similar to what we had in Sarasota, Florida. He said, let's bring people in and make this a center for higher spiritual teachings. And that's what we've done for the last 9 years. We brought teachers, we have teachers coming in from all over the world. And they are what I would refer, and we had several coming here. They would be what I would refer as the best teachers in their particular field, literally in the world. David Thompson is a materialization medium. There's only 5 in the world, only 5. And he's been doing this for 25 years. He can go into trance. Spirit would draw ectoplasm from his body. They would stand in, we all have an etheric body, which is the blueprint for the physical body. We have 4 energetic bodies. They would stand in the ectoplasm, and it would coat their etheric body, and they would take on physical form. They'd walk around the room. They would speak to us. They would do different things. It was amazing. We brought David here in 2009, I believe it was. And I had gone to England in 2007 because I heard of him. He was living in Australia at the time. I had heard about him coming to demonstrate. Absolutely amazing. I've sat with him over 50 times in 4 different countries. He's that special. He's coming back to Santa Fe for 6 seances, 44 people in each one. And when we put the word out, this was back in November, within 3 weeks we were totally full. Literally people coming from all over the world. The Sarasota church had at that time a wonderful reputation as being a place of true spirituality and the highest and the best spiritual experiences that could be attained. I made it one of my promises to Spirit that I would visit every medium we wanted to bring in and see them work before I invited them here or to Santa Fe. And I've continued to do that because people rely on me. They rely on my word to tell them about experiences that are coming. The virus put us behind a little bit, but for the most part, we were doing a lot of things by Zoom, and we're back to normal now, basically. But I had heard at that time, and I have the good fortune of speaking to Spirit at least once a month, twice a month, through a medium in Maryland, Steve Woods. So I have stayed current. After Dorothy departed, I've stayed current by staying in touch with Spirit, and I can continue to ask them questions. And I want to share with you just briefly some of the experiences that I've been privileged to be a part of. Every month we have a Spirit Guide Circle, and the first 30 people that sign up are the ones that get to attend it. And for each of those people, one of their guides will trance through Steve. He lives in Maryland. He's totally in trance. And they will answer 3 personal questions of yours. Well, anyone who's experienced physical mediumship knows that you don't get that opportunity to speak directly to one of your guides. You don't. It's mostly relayed through a mental medium or an experience you feel yourself. You can feel their presence. The other thing that we do is a spirit talk. The Spirit Guide Circle is the 2nd Thursday of the month. The Spirit Talk is the 4th Thursday of the month. And that will be a topic, and they'll bring in 4 to 8 speakers who will, evolved beings, who will talk on that topic. My favorite was in December of 2020. We started this in May of 2020, so we're coming up on 3 years of doing this every month. The favorite topic was the family of Jesus. I've always been fascinated by Jesus. The Flexers never put him on a pedestal, nor did they ever put Mary on a pedestal. And I heard Mary speak at one of the Steve Woods events, and she said, Jesus and I never wanted to be placed on a pedestal. We came here for simply one reason. We wanted to teach others to be of service to their fellow men and women. That was the reason they came. It was amazing. So that particular night, we had Mary come in and talk about her life with Jesus. Joseph came in and talked about his life. And Jesus had 4 younger brothers. And each one of them came in and talked. And he had 2 sisters, but they both had reincarnated. So the MC told us, Joseph and Mary had 2 daughters, but they're not available to come in and speak. They're not in the spirit world. They're in a lifetime somewhere in the world. It was amazing, the truth that they brought forward and shared with us. One thing Joseph told us, he said, I was a follower of the Eastern philosophy. And when I heard him speak that, I thought, must have been a Buddhist. And he was. And, again, there's not much written about Joseph in the New Testament. So we had the opportunity, I think it was in September of last year, to interview Joseph for 2 hours. And I said to him, now, everyone who had signed up to participate in that event, the Spirit only requested that they send their questions to one person, so that one person would be asking the questions. And I understand that. It's difficult to trans through another human being, and the more people you talk to, the more energies you have to deal with. So they wanted just to deal with one person to ask the questions. Well, since I was the co-host, I had the opportunity to do that. So I got all the questions, and I sorted them out, and I removed the ones that were duplicates, and it was just a fantastic opportunity for me. I said to Joseph, I said, there's not much written about you in the New Testament. I had read the New Testament as part of my ministerial training. I had struggled with the Old Testament. I just did. I like Genesis. They had the traditional stories. But, most of the Old Testament is about Jewish history and philosophy and their laws and all that. So I said, of what is written about you, and he was depicted as being an older man. Well, he was 28 when he met Mary. I said, of what has been written about you, there's not much. And he goes, I know. I said, how much of it is accurate? He goes, very little of it is accurate. I said, that's interesting. He shared with us that his teacher was a guy named Androcus Sarati. Anybody heard of him that's not sat in those talks? Androcus Serati. He fascinated me. I heard of him speaking to a group that Steve works with, and I called Steve up and I said, I would love to have a copy of the talk that he gave to your special group. He said, well, we don't normally do that. We don't, share those things with people not in the group. And I said, please, I won't share it with anybody, but I'm interested in knowing about Androcus Serati. So he ended up doing that. He shared it with me. And I didn't share it with anybody else. So at the end of his talk, he had about a 45-minute talk, he says, you won't find anything about me in the internet, nor will you find any books about me. And I said, I thought to myself, now why is that? He said, the church declared that I was the devil. Well, as a metaphysician, you know there is no such thing as a devil, unless it's a football team somewhere, or an alien. There's no such thing as demons. There isn't. The one thing that Dorothy and Russell did, and that Dr. Davis and all the spirit teachers, is they told us the truth. So I asked Androcus, I said, I got a chance to interview him for 2 hours. And I said, was the reason the church declared you to be the devil, was that because they didn't believe a human being could teach the Son of God anything? He said, that's exactly what they believed. It would have been against their teachings. Jesus was not a God. He was a very evolved teacher. He wasn't a God. There's only one God. You can call him God or prime source or great white father, whatever term works best for you. But the Flexers and Dr. Davis and his team always told us the truth. So it was fascinating talking to Androcus Serati. And he had some amazing stories to share. He said he lived in Nepal. I said, well, I visited Nepal. I said, were you in Lukala, one of the small towns outside of Kathmandu, or Namche Bazaar? It's kind of a large community, large town. He goes, no, he said, the part of Nepal I lived in was what they call Bhutan right now. I said, oh, wow, I've always been intrigued by Bhutan. And I said, did Jesus come to visit you? And he said, yes. I said, how did he get there? I mean, it's a long way from Israel. He says, he was able to dematerialize himself, send his atoms through the ether, which is like a spiritual atmosphere, and rematerialize them at my home in Bhutan. I said, that's amazing. And when I interviewed Mother Mary, she said, I said, is it true that your family visited Androcus Serati in Bhutan? And she said, yes. And I said, how did you get there? Jesus could bilocate. He could dematerialize himself and others, send his atoms through the atmosphere, and rematerialize in his destination. I said, that is amazing. Everywhere I have gone, I have talked about the Sarasota Center of Light. I said, this is a place of higher spiritual teachings. These folks that have signed up to be on the board, they have dedicated themselves to bringing that higher spiritual teachings to you. And they've declared that they are going to exhibit the best behavior that they're capable of in doing that. It's fantastic that they've done that. It's fantastic that you're here to support them. This place, and I've talked to David Thompson and many other people that come here. I said, what did you think of the church? And David said, it's the finest place we've ever demonstrated. And David's demonstrated all over the world. I talked to his spiritual teacher and said, what did you think of the church? He said, it's the finest place we've ever demonstrated. So this is a special place. My time is running up or out. This is a special place. Think of it. I wanted to share part of that with you. Because most people that come, you know, they enjoy the feeling. If they like the vibration, they return. But of all over the world, and we were known all over the world as being a special church. And we wanted to be a special center of light. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tom. There's so much history, and we're fortunate to have Tom as our historian because it's so important to recognize our foundation, our roots, and to honor that and keep it going. We now have an opportunity to offer our love in another way by an offering. To our friends on Zoom, we offer a safe and secure way to give by texting the word Sunday. It's up on the screen. Whatever form your donation is in, I ask you to place it in your hand and hold it over your heart. With loving intention, I invite you to repeat after me the offering affirmation. The law of increase governs my life through giving.
Increase governs my life through giving.
All that is mine comes to me.
All that is mine comes to me.
Through the operation of divine love and law.
Through the operation of divine love and law.
Infinite Spirit, we ask that a blessing be placed upon these gifts and the givers, for it is in giving that we truly receive. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, girls. Have a few announcements to make. Next Saturday, March 18th, Reverend Tom will be presenting his second workshop. It's entitled, So You Want to Speak with Spirit. It will be held in Davis Hall from 1:30 to 4. You can sign up at the door, or you can sign up here in the, excuse me, we have a list in the vestibule. And we can't allow Reverend Tom to go back to his home in Santa Fe without being our guest next Sunday. So it is an honor and a pleasure that Reverend Tom will be joining us next Sunday, and he'll be giving the Spirit Talk, and he'll be giving messages from loved ones in spirit, and he will be joined by our own Associate Minister, Karen Strauss. So the two of them are the longest members of the Sarasota Center of Light, and it'll be such a joy to have the two of them back together giving messages. It'll be truly, truly special, so you don't want to miss that. After our service today, please come over to Davis Hall. We're going to have a very special coffee hour to honor the board and to honor Reverend Tom. So we'll have a lot of nice food and good cake and wonderful conversation. So if you can come, that would be great. Every Wednesday we have our healing service at 7:30, and for now it is only on Zoom, but we are hoping in the very near future that we will be giving the healings in person here in the sanctuary, as we have done for many years. If you'd like to request a healing for yourself or for a pet or someone, whatever your needs might be, you can send an email to the office, and the names will be placed in our healing bowl here in the sanctuary. We also have our Crystal Bowl fundraiser that is continuing, and the drawing will be on Easter Sunday, which is April the 9th. You can still buy a ticket for that. Tickets are $5 or 3 for $10, and Laverne has the raffle tickets back there in the vestibule, so if you'd like to purchase some, you're welcome to do that. You can visit our website for upcoming events. And now I'd like to ask you all to join in for our very special presentation of Where I Sit is Holy. You'll find that number 35 in your songbook.
That's one of my favorite songs. And